Finding high-quality mental health care can be daunting and exhausting. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, depression, insomnia, stress, grief, big life changes, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can now use FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
ACAST powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
I'm Jessie Cruikshank, and I've always been told I have a face for podcasting. So I launched a podcast. It's called Phone a Friend because each week I'll break down the biggest stories in pop culture. But when I have questions, I get to phone a friend. I'll phone a royal watcher to find out why Prince Harry is acting like a real housewife. I'll phone a tween to please explain Euphoria. And maybe I'll even phone a Backstreet Boy to find out if I still have a chance. I don't? Okay. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
ACAST helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. ACAST.com.
Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile, the podcast where we walk home from the movies. And we're doing it today.
Second time in a year.
Yeah, they're back. We're back. We're going to the movies again. And we're going to see a movie that we could watch for free at home or as part of our existing subscription at Disney Plus, because it's now available. So FYI, Raya and the Last Dragon is available for all of you Disney Plus subscribers to watch. Or you can have a nice family day out like we're intending to do at an early morning screening with our two boys. That's the plan.
It's a brave new world. Basically, you can catch effectively any movie now on streaming service or cinema, so it's a choice. And for us, we'll always choose cinema. I also don't actually think there's much of a price difference because we're going to a really early morning screening with the boys in a few minutes, and
it worked out at like
24 quid for the four of us.
Yeah.
Whereas to rent it on Disney Plus, I believe, is like almost 20 quid.
No, that's when it was released in simultaneously with cinemas.
Right.
It was back in March. It is now available. It's just there. If you have Disney Plus, you can go watch it.
No, I still want to go and see it on the cinema. Yeah. Wherever we can, we will always go to the cinema. But we're so excited because, our son Oscar went to the cinema loads as a little kid, but he doesn't remember it. Like, I've asked him, he doesn't remember, because the last time we went was Onward, which was late February last year, pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
So he's too
long time in the life of a 3-year-old.
Yeah. And then the baby Elliot has only ever been once to see Onward when he was
doesn't remember anything.
3 weeks old, and he spent most of that movie shitting and vomiting on me. So
hopefully a little bit better than last time. I'm so excited because I think they're at an age now. They both are where we know Oscar watches movies from beginning to end. Elliot's a total wild card, so we're kind of anticipating that one of us might have to step out of the cinema because it's not quite it's definitely not appropriate to have a screaming 1-year-old in there. So if it gets out of hand, one of us is going to...
It's 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. It's going to be all families there, and the beauty of it also being on Disney Plus is if one of us misses chunks of it, we can catch it later.
Go back and watch it at home.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm so excited. This is basically all I want as a parent, is to bring my kids to the cinema and for them to experience the joy of it. So we're totally thrilled.
And I'm looking forward to this movie.
Oh my God, I haven't even seen a trailer for it. Like, I have heard no buzz about this movie, no one talking about it, and I've not even seen a trailer.
It's not a lot of buzz, but it's getting good, reviews. It's from, I really trust Walt Disney Animation Studios, whatever they're called, as much as, if not more than, Pixar lately.
Interesting.
Well, think of just the bangers that they've put out in the last 10 years.
Moana, I'll never forget.
Moana, Tangled, Frozen 1 and 2, Zootropolis, awesome movie.
You're right.
They're real bangers. So, and I'm interested in an original property, which this looks to be.
Yeah,
at least
same.
I'm not aware of it being.
Okay, can't wait. Better go.
Let's go. Okay,
right,
see you soon. Bye.
Let's catch you up. My name is Raya. Our lands have been at war for as long as we can remember. Our people never see eye to eye.
My daughter, I believe our people can come together again, but someone has to take the first step.
Now, in order to restore peace, we must find the last dragon.
I wish to join this fellowship of butt-kickery.
Let's go. We'll have to watch our backs. We're not the only ones looking. 6 years of searching. Please let this be it. Oh, Mighty Sisu!
Who said that?
We really need your help.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not like the best dragon. Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much, but still ended up with the same grade?
We're doomed.
Hi guys, we're back. So we went to see Raya and the Last Dragon this morning with our two boys. They're not with us now, but we are out for a walk by ourselves because they weren't interested in podcasting.
I actually tried to get Oscar to podcast and he had no interest.
No.
Yet whenever we're doing it and we aren't inviting him on, he really is interested. So that's the life of parenting. I said, what do you think about the movie? Trying to coax a review out of him, and he said, nothing! Which is untrue because he absolutely loved the movie.
He did. He was invested. Oh my God, right. So the whole experience of sitting as a family, just the four of us in the cinema, was just lovely. I just loved it. This is what I live for.
Because there was a short film in front of this which was really lovely, which made me cry anyway.
Called Us Again, I believe it was called.
Really
it was really beautiful.
And I forgot they did short movies, so that just felt like such a bonus. And then that was making me cry. And then I looked over and like Elliot was on your lap and then Oscar was sitting between us. And I was just like, I can't describe. I was pure joy. It was like utter and like probably the happiest I've felt in a really long time. Just like having us all there together. And for a 1.5-year-old, I don't know whether we should be disturbed or not, but Elliot watched most of the movie.
Yeah,
and that's pretty freaky.
Was enthralled. Because I don't think Oscar would have done that at that age. Because he sat, and it was so cute. So the seat was wide enough that me and Elliot were able to sit in the same seat.
Yeah, what a waste buying him his own ticket.
He sat next to me, and he just like looked. He was just like amazed at this giant thing in front of him, absolutely enthralled for about an hour. And it's a long movie, by the way. This is 2 hours. It's a little bit long for them, but he did a bit of wandering around the front of the cinema in the last bit. But he was good as gold.
We didn't miss any. And then Oscar, who's 3.5, absolutely loved it.
Oh, he didn't.
He also enjoys mild terror, and he said at one point, this is a bit scary. And I said, are you okay? Do you want to cuddle? And he said, no, it's okay. It's just a little bit scary. And yeah, he loved it because it's all about dragons, etc. I'm not sure how much of it he got, but he certainly loved it. But I loved it too.
There are some sort of menacing cloudy villains in this, I will describe them as, which I think are a little bit scary, and there's a couple of jump scares here. So it probably is it's parental guidance for a reason. Know your own child, and kind of know what they're sort of up for. But yeah, Oscar loved it, and he was just enthralled. And as you say, it was just lovely to look over at him and have this sort of, this is why cinema is so good. It's this like immersive shared experience.
Exactly. It's not like that when they watch movies. I mean, Elliot doesn't watch movies at home, but Oscar does. And like, yes, he's watching a movie, he enjoys it, but he's also climbing on the sofa, like jumping off the armchair, playing with toys. Yeah. And this is like, no, you sit and you immerse yourself in the experience. And yeah, he was like, this is such a big TV.
Oh, it's magic. It is like magic. So good to be back. Yeah. And it's so good. Like, it just fills your, you asked him, he didn't want to do a podcast, but you asked him what was his favourite bit, and he said the big screen. Yeah. And it's just like, when you think about it, it's like, it's amazing. The big screen, it just fills your entire vision. As you say, you sit there, there's nothing else to do, you just get immersed in the story. And this is a good movie. It's a really good movie.
It's so beautiful. I know stunning. We always say this anyway, but I'm really glad we did see it in the cinema because it's so beautiful.
Oh, same. I don't think RTV would have done justice to it.
No, RTV isn't good enough. It's just like, there's so much going on. It's like this full like tapestry of Asian cultures and mythology. And like, for anyone who doesn't know, a very brief overview of the plot is, it's about, but if you don't know, go watch it on Disney Plus or in the cinema. A young girl called Raya, and she's basically part of a family whose job it is to like protect this jewel. It's very fantasy.
Protect a MacGuffin.
Yeah, protect a MacGuffin, which is a jewel, which is like magic, dragon magic. And there's one dragon left in the world, and she is tasked with finding that dragon. One could guess from the title whether or not she finds the dragon.
There's a really the movie needs to be 2 hours long. Firstly, I think so. And
quite a complex plot.
It needs to set up a lot, and there's not a wasted minute here.
No.
And I think they 2 hour, it justifies 2 hours, and because there's also quite a lot of characters, there's also quite a bit of world building to do, and I was really impressed with how economical they made all that while keeping it entertaining at the beginning.
And it's that classic, like me and Dave both love fantasy books, and like this is such good fantasy because you've set up, there's always like very kind of specific sects or sectors or races in a fantasy book, and they very clearly set up like the 5 different races in this culture and how they're governed and what they're like, and then we see them all in the world like in kind of a map format, like a fantasy way, but it's all very much like desert hues and vibes, and they just lay it all out brilliantly. And while it is a complex story, like kids can follow it for sure, but I felt like as a fantasy fan it was really wonderful. I loved it, the whole setup, and then how they drew the dragon was really unexpected to me. I've not really seen a dragon illustrated like that before.
Yeah, I mean, it was reminiscent of personally some of that long slender dragon that you see in a sort of Chinese New Year celebrations.
Yeah, that's true.
And that kind of thing. It feels like it sort of starts there, but certainly really interesting and sort of elegant sort of movements, and Awkwafina doing the voice.
Awkwafina's so good.
It was the most distinct voice ever. Like that, so she's got kind of a raspy voice, and as soon as she spoke, I was like, oh, Awkwafina.
So distinctive, which is why in the movie you didn't see, Jumanji 2, at some point, she's voicing. I can't remember, but her voice goes. No, she's voicing a male actor, I think. Anyway, it was really funny. I cannot remember, but it was so distinctive when she did it. But yeah, I just loved it, and like I love the main character, Raya, and I love her like folly,
brilliant.
Her kind of her nemesis. I won't say who that is, but like I really enjoyed.
We'll get to spoilers soon.
Yeah, I really enjoyed like all of them. It's just like fully well-rounded, awesome, clever, athletic. Whole rounded female characters. Like I was so proud to be sitting in the cinema and like my 2 sons watching this incredible cast of characters, predominantly female, and there is no mention of them being female. Well, there's none of these things which you'd often expect in a movie like that, like, oh well, a woman can't rule or whatever. There's none of that. Like there's not even a discussion around feminism. It's just all takes place with these, some characters are female, some characters are male. Grand.
Which is kind of the backdrop of Mulan, I believe, and I'm not as familiar with that story, but that's, you know, a woman pretending to be a man in a man's world, right?
Yeah, that's not this.
And I had a similar thought when I was watching it, and I was just thinking how awesome it is now. And I know everyone can sort of criticise, like companies trying to be woke and making mistakes and all this because they're a big multinational corporation with a big checkered past, Disney. However, at least they're making these. Look, at least we're moving in a direction where we were able to sit in a very big commercial movie. So it was the 7th highest grossing film of 2021, right? In which it's all Asian voice cast, a celebration of Southeastern Asian culture, and lead women doing awesome stuff. And it's not even a question, right? It's not a point of interest. It just is.
And they do this amazing like fight sequences, like really incredibly choreographed, and like I was just so happy that Oscar was watching it, like with mainly women doing it, because like he loves sword fighting and stuff, and I'm very conscious of like a lot of the cartoons he likes watching. You know, the obvious one being like Paw Patrol, where there's like 4 boys and a token girl who gets to do nothing, but he's just so often getting this message that like boys do the fun stuff and girls don't.
Yeah, gender bias is alive and well in children's TV
as is racial bias.
Yeah,
because so many of the characters, like even if they're cartoons, they're like voiced by white actors, etc. So for him to just like, I just was so happy about the whole thing, to be honest, about him watching it. But just for us, if we'd been there with the kids, we'd have loved it anyway.
Oh, it's excellent, guys. If you're listening and you don't have kids, go watch this. Yeah. Like it's an excellent movie, not just an excellent Disney movie.
I would consider it Moana level good. And Moana was like, by the way, my favourite movie of the year it came out. Except it doesn't have a song. And like for me, a Disney song, I want the I Want song. That's like a real trope of that genre. And like, I wouldn't have minded if she'd had a song, I have to say, albeit the tone of it was different and she's like a teenager. But yeah, wouldn't have minded it.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I hadn't really considered it till you just mentioned it. But yeah, this is not a musical.
No.
which is kind of against type for Disney. But I guess they have to make that choice. I'd be interested to hear the rationale for that decision. Because I think it works. For me, I wasn't missing. At no point was I thinking like, oh, I'd love a musical number here.
I wasn't
was quite
either.
Enveloped
And
in
a
it.
musical number, the way the film's made, a musical number would not have been appropriate. Like, it's an extremely bleak landscape, and she's got like a very big task to do.
And it's also, I don't think there's any room in this movie for musical numbers. Like, you add in 5 musical numbers, you've added 20 minutes
that's a choice,
to your running
though.
time.
Like, Frozen's only like 90 minutes long. That's got loads of musical numbers.
Yeah.
It's a creative choice. And I didn't miss it whilst watching it either. It's only on reflection. I'm like, oh, just because I was thinking of Moana.
I am Raya.
I just love Moana music. So, yeah.
That should be there. They just use that music for every new movie they do.
Yeah, exactly.
I am Buzz Lightyear.
I just want, like, Oscar, like, he already has Moana toys, but, like, I want him to get Raya toys as well. Like, she's really cool.
She's badass.
Yeah, she's
like,
amazing.
Brilliant. Like, well, can we go to spoilers now?
Let's go to
talk
spoilers,
some
yeah.
specifics. So, spoilers now for Raya and the Last Dragon, which you should all go and watch somehow. So, I like from that like intro, that sort of Temple of Doom, brilliant, like securing the traps thing. You get this sense of young Raya as this brilliant, accomplished kind of fighter, assassin, thief, and she's got charismatic. She's got a little cute Disney animal sidekick.
Disney animal.
Tuk
They
Tuk.
always have to have one, and I love that it was called Tuk Tuk, which is like the cars when you're in Thailand, or like the rickshaw.
Yeah,
things.
the little sort of very dangerous taxi service, which we got that time. But the Tuk Tuk, by the way, I discovered on a quick IMDb look, is voiced by Alan Tudyk for some reason.
Who's Alan Tudyk?
Oh, you'd know him from Firefly.
Okay.
And yeah, he was in that Alien show we watched recently, the pilot of, where he was an alien on Earth. You know that guy?
Great descriptor.
Great, thank you. So yeah, I just think she's a badass character. Do you know what she and the whole thing reminded me of? It was The Legend of Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, and they're amazing.
Because she's very similar character to Korra in many ways. This sort of stubborn cynicism, very accomplished fighter.
Like, she survives for 7 years in a barren wasteland,
Oh, yeah.
all on her own. And I love
So
how
cool.
it's like she doesn't trust anyone. She won't eat food anyone's cooked. She won't engage with anyone, and that's why she has survived. But then, of course, that's also why she can't thrive. She needs to let people in from the 5 countries so they can all unite to, what was the word again?
There's a name for the utopian single
Yeah.
country they used to be. Begins with K.
Yeah.
Anyway, exactly. I liked the theme of this movie, which is humans are better
When they work together,
than
yeah.
apart.
And
it was
trust.
interesting that it's a little bit heavy-handed, perhaps, but it is a Disney
it's a
movie.
kids' movie.
Yeah, so I actually really liked that.
Now, if you ask Oscar what happened in this movie, he will not tell you it was about trust.
No,
He'll say
there was
a
a dragon.
Yeah.
And why did the dragons take so long to come on? Was his other comment.
Yeah, he did say a few times, Mummy, where's the
Where
dragon?
are the dragons? I was promised dragons. The theme of this movie, of this sort of like trust and them learning to be trustworthy despite obvious betrayals and overcoming that it works as a really great character arc. It works as sort of giving you a more rounded villain. I thought she was great as well.
Villain, yeah, she had like, and actually you missed one scene when you brought Oscar out, but there was a scene where like we see the villain's mom saying, like, the villain said to her mom, like, I don't want to hurt the dragon and I want us to be united, and the mom was like, no, and the mom was really harsh to her. So we also had like the parental odds stacked against her, and then like it was so cool, and I didn't want to say it before spoiler street because it is a spoiler, albeit I'm sure it's in the trailer, but I loved when Awkwafina the dragon turned into a human, and it was an animation of Awkwafina.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
really
yeah.
unexpected. It looks so like her.
Yeah, there's a lot of. It feels like there's if you look through the voice cast on IMDb, there's a lot of familiar. Like Benedict Wong is in here as Tong, the guy in the village.
I was wondering who he
certain
was.
familiarity there.
Oh my God,
I feel like they drew on some of the voice actors.
The other thing
features.
Oscar said he loved, which we loved too, was that there's a baby, there's a naughty toddler, but who's totally self-sufficient.
Kick-ass baby.
Like that baby.
Con baby, as she
that
was
baby
described.
was so cool. And like,
Yeah.
there's another little thing that Oscar loves is like, there's a boy, he's probably like 6 or 7, and he's like the captain of a ship. And it's that wonderful fantasy that you see in any good kid's story, whereby like, it only works when they were not with their parents.
Yeah.
Like any good kid story you think about, from like the famous 5 to Raya and the Last Dragon, there is an absence of a parental figure because we need to see the kids thriving on their own and like working together, and that's what's interesting. And like when they only got a grown up right at the very end, and I just love that, like, they're all just trying to get back to their family, but they're like also self-sufficient. Obviously it's absurd that a baby is self-sufficient, but also hilarious. I just love this. Really unique though. I've not seen that before.
Yeah,
I mean, except for like Boss Baby or something silly.
I liked
like
all the supporting characters. I like that it was this, as you say, a fantasy journey of going to all these regions and picking up a different character from each. It's very...
And also very much like any good fantasy, like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or whatever, like she has to pick up this 5 fragments of this jewel and they all have to be joined together at the end. And I love that. Like, I want my kids seeing fantasy tropes because it's a brilliant genre.
I'm fine. And there's very tried and tested formulas here, but with very entertaining, just beautifully visually gorgeous, insanely just like the real world.
And it made me want to go to
Asia. Great
Great
characters, lovely emotional moments. So I'm fine with tropes and fantasy storytelling and familiarity as shorthand to bring you a fully well-rounded experience, which this was. It was really
all
satisfying.
was brought together in a really unique way and beautiful. And Disney is really, doing their best to right the wrongs that they've perpetrated for a very long time on screen. And I had this other wonderful moment of God, when I was the kids' age, when I was Oscar's age, I was going to see The Little Mermaid,
I remember seeing The Little Mermaid.
Terrible movie in retrospect about a woman who basically gives up her voice to be with a man. That's what I was watching as a kid. Look what they're watching now, and that's amazing. That's in our lifetime.
She was my first crush. That's what I was doing.
Because all she was a sexual object.
Yeah.
So of course she was your first crush. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening.
Banging musical numbers in Little Mermaid, though.
The musical numbers in Little Mermaid are awesome. Thank you everyone for listening. Let us know what you thought of it, where you watched it. If you've made it back to the cinema yet, we've had loads of messages from you guys after we posted that we went to see Sound of Metal in the cinema, and everyone's so happy to get back, and our Irish listeners, you'll be back soon. It's just amazing. Put such a smile on our faces. And,
right. I mean, it's just it's so uplifting.
Yeah.
And just to have experienced it as a family, as a day out, just makes me so happy again to have the cinema open and to have suddenly the future feels a bit brighter. I'm just thinking I just hungry for it now. I want to bring our boys as much as we can.
And I know people were after the pandemic, when everything's going to be on streaming services, people's habits will have changed. No, people love going to the cinema.
Yeah.
It's a day out, it's a night out, it's
Honestly, this might be controversial, but I realise they won't get the numbers anymore, so perhaps the mass market thing is not going to be viable. But I'll pay more for a really good night out cinema experience.
I mean, they have to socially distance, so they're losing money. I wouldn't personally, I'd appreciate if they put up ticket price. I don't understand why.
Yeah,
but we gotta go.
But then you've got the choice as a consumer, because you can also watch it at home if you don't want to pay more.
I think it's the best of both.
Yeah.
I like that they're available in multiple places, and also I'm hoping that them being available on streaming platforms will stop people illegally streaming and actually pay for movies. Because if they're there,
I feel like illegal streaming is at an all-time low anyway. They've kind of the streaming services kind of nipped at it. Oh, maybe I'm being.
I feel like you're completely wrong. Have you met anyone in their teens or 20s?
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm being naive.
You're being completely naive.
Yeah,
anyway, thank you everyone for listening. Head over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review if you have a moment. We would hugely appreciate it.
And go to patreon.com/The Cinemile if you want to hear us talk about Jaws for an hour. That's what we did.
And lots of other movies and TV reviews over there. And of course, we're on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Cinema.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
I just shape changed.
Dragons can do that?
Look how close my butt is to my head. It's gonna make digestion so much faster.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What do you do when no one else is watching? What do you do that makes you happy for no reason at all? What are you obsessed with? I'm Leslie Arfin, and I'm a writer, but I'm also a dancer, a painter, a vapor, a dollhouse enthusiast, and basically just an overall hobbyist. My podcast, Filling the Void, is all about what other people are fanatically into. We talk about hobbies, even if you don't have one.
Listen to Filling the Void on Tuesdays on the Erios Network, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.